Good afternoon and welcome, Pulpit Rock friends and family, to our Monday Whole Care Check-In. And tonight, if you didn't know it, is Ladies' Night here at Pulpit Rock. And so I am joined today by Pastor Suzy Bates. She is our Generations pastor, and she's also just a really good friend of mine. And so you'll see a few familiar faces up here as the weeks go on. But she's here to join us to check in, and we're wondering how everybody is doing. It's the day after Easter, the first Easter I think I can ever imagine that I was not physically in church, like maybe since birth.
Right?
I don't think I've missed an Easter.
Wasn't that crazy?
It was a little bit different. One thing I love about women and the sisterhood of women is that we have high capacity for relationships. And so as we do these check-ins, we are acknowledging that we are not just a flat affect person, that we're born with a soul and a mind and a body and relationships and purpose. And so when we attune to our whole person instead of just segments, we get a sense of the fullness that Christ calls us to. And part of that is relationships. And one of my favorite memories from the last few years was remembering back to the time when we got to get together with our friends.
Right? Do you remember what that was like?
Do you remember when we got to be together?
That was so great.
Those were the good old days. But I remember we went on a little retreat up to Buena Vista, and we were sitting in the Mount Princeton Hot Springs, and we talked literally for 5 hours straight.
Like easily 5 hours.
Could have been pushing 6. And I will tell you this, and if you live with a woman, you might be very aware of this right now, but we talked for that amount of time, and we still had things to talk about the rest of the weekend.
We did, yes.
We covered a lot of bases. We thought we covered and solved most of the world's ills, but I love that, and I love that about Suzy. She's a trusted friend and a sister to me, and I'm so glad that she's here. So thank you for taking time to join us.
Thanks for having me.
Glad you're here. Thinking back to Easter, which was just yesterday, we were looking at the tomb and the stone that was in front of the tomb, and that was something that they couldn't even do that one thing of getting to the body of Christ. And Jonathan encouraged us just with this thought of looking up. And so how do we do that during this time when our noses are sometimes right to the thing in front of us, whether it's getting our kids connected online for school, or trying to work from home, or all the things that are the people that need to eat at all times during the day that are in our house right now. So how do we look up? And I saw Psalm 3. I've been thinking about what is that like to look up, and instead of just trying to control or manage or step ahead. Psalm 3 says, "You, O Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, and the one who lifts my head up. I call out, looking to where our help comes from. Our help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over all of Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. He is the shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm, and he will watch over your life. The Lord will watch your comings and your goings, both now and forevermore." And I love that idea that it's not just on you and I to be the ones responsible to look up, but sometimes God just lifts our head for us because he knows the heaviness that we carry. I'm so thankful for that. So Suzy, as you think about kind of this unique season and where you're at today, are there ways that you feel like you're able to look up, lift your head up for hope and for answers?
Yeah, I feel like I experienced that yesterday, actually, on Easter Sunday, an Easter Sunday like none other. And I was actually here to help record the service, the live stream service at 9. And it was just wild to be here. I got to hear the sermon live. I got to engage in the worship live.
Jealous.
Yeah, right? Because it's just not the same at home. It can be beautiful in a different way at home. But I got to be here, and my heart longed for all of you all to be here too. It was just wild to experience the sermon and the worship in this huge, empty sanctuary. And I thought, gosh, we have already lost so much with this pandemic, and we kind of lost Easter too. I just was kind of grieving all of the things about Easter that we normally experience that I was not experiencing. And then I went home after church. There were 8 of us here, fewer than 10. We social distance. But we trickled out in a really small group of people, which is really abnormal to leave church that way. Normally it takes me like 20 minutes to get from here into my car because there are people everywhere and we're talking, and so that was really strange. And then driving home, I was actually home before noon, which is unheard of on a regular Sunday, much less Easter. And we just had the sweetest, slowest paced afternoon at home.
I love that.
And at the table with my family, just the 4 of us, we're used to, on Easter Sunday, gosh, I'm used to being here well before dawn, preparing, implementing 3 services, tons of people. It is a huge morning. I've prepped food the night before. The food sits in my car or up in the office, keeping warm during all the services. We go straight to my mom's.
For a family potluck.
Yes, have the huge potluck family thing, which is, those things are all so sweet and wonderful. And with my little family of 4 and this slow, easy afternoon that we had yesterday, I found myself looking up to see, this is really beautiful. And I don't know that we'll ever have an Easter like this ever again.
Right.
And I kind of wanted to cherish it immediately. And I just, that was my kind of look up moment that I took away from the sermon yesterday. I loved it. It was it was just a sweet, sweet time. And I could have easily overlooked it by just focusing on all the things that we feel like we've lost.
Yes. So Suzy and I were talking about how this is the middle of whatever this is. There was a start that none of us were prepared for.
Right.
And then there's this middle. I believe and know that there will be an end. I believe that we will get back to the days of being able to connect with our friends and family in the ways that we long to. But we're in the middle. So in this middle, this sticky, unknown middle, how do we lift our heads? And, for me, it's trying to not look past the people that I'm living with. So instead of focusing on task or what's the next day even, it's just the more immediate of kind of this slowing, which I've heard people say is kind of foreign, but also beautiful. So laying in the hammock with my teenager feels like I don't want to glaze past it. I want to suck up those moments and appreciate them for and cherish them for what they are. So thank you for sharing that. And if you think this is a way that I'm looking up intentionally, reach out to us, email us. We want to hear or put it on the Facebook page for the church. We'd love to hear ways that you are lifting your head, or the way that you feel like God himself is lifting your gaze into his own. I pray that you each have moments like that in these weeks.
Yeah. We've got some recommendations we want to share. We've been trying to do this at each one of our check-ins.
Little bit of fun.
Yeah. The first one is really cool. I think if you have kids that are little ones, you're definitely going to enjoy this. And I think maybe even the bigger kids could enjoy this as well. The Virtual Disney World YouTube channel will let you ride a bunch of their most famous rides virtually. And you don't have to have the virtual goggles. You can just do it on your phone.
You can throw up at home.
Yes, you can throw up at home without the sweaty crowds. But we were checking it out on our phones beforehand. It looks so cool. So that's something fun to do as a family. And then we've been trying to give you good music recommendations. I'm excited to recommend our recommendation this week is Young the Giant. And the album is called Mirror Master. There are a lot of good albums by Young the Giant. This is their most recent one, And my daughter Tallulah and I actually got to go see them at Red Rocks this last summer.
Oh,
So we
wow.
saw the live show.
With people.
It was awesome with people. There were like hundreds of people there. Do you
Remember when we did that?
Do you remember that? Like when we could do that? Those were such good times.
Those were such good times.
We're going to have those times again.
Well, let's check in and see what kind of times a family from Pulpit Rock is having right now. And it happens to be your sister.
Yes.
And mine.
And yours.
Yes, Jessica Thompson.
Hey, Pulpit Rock family, it's Jessica Thompson here. Just to check up from the Thompson family on how we're doing during the quarantine. We have moved our ping pong table into the front room. Wait, Henry, don't go anywhere. And Henry has been the all-time champion of ping pong at our house. But just now, who won, Henry?
You did.
I won. This is actually a huge, you can tell he's really excited. This has actually been a very helpful way for us to stay sane during quarantine. We also moved rooms with everyone, so everyone has their own room right now, which is really helpful, except Thomas and I are still sharing our room, and we're around each other a lot. I have been most proud of our kids during this time, especially our college students coming back home after being gone for a year or more, and neither one were even planning on coming home for summer. They have been doing amazing. If there's anyone that has had some issues, it's actually me and Thomas. So we love you guys, Pulpit Rock, and just wanted to give you a check-in from the Thompsons.
Oh, that was precious.
That's so true, too. I have a friend who posted a meme today that said, hey, how are my married friends doing? I haven't been seeing the hashtag blessed posts from you guys as much. How are y'all holding up? It's true. The marriages
That's so
are
funny. Oh. My sister sent me one this morning that had a married couple, and the one couple is glaring at the other one, saying, "Do you have to breathe like that?" So these are some dark days sometimes.
It's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are hoping that you are finding ways to still stay connected. That's our goal: is how can we connect in meaningful ways, even though we're in a unique time. So just to remind you, this week. We've got Tuesday, our kids programming online. Wednesday is our students. We have our whole care check-ins Wednesday and Friday, in addition to today, obviously, and then services on Sunday. But any way that you can engage, if you want to just communicate or connect, we would love to hear from you. We have so many people that have offered assistance and people who have reached out for assistance, and that is truly the body when we are addressing both parts. And we're still together even though we are not together in body right now. And so to bless you as you start this week, and the God who sees exactly where you are today, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you, be gracious to you, and leave you peace. Waiting for